The following program is brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization. Welcome to the Unfinished Workweek, a show for those working 55, 60, or 65 hours a week. And now, here is your host, Andy Guterowitz.
Well, good evening, everybody. Don't you just love those introductions by Chris? Chris, you do such a great job on that introduction. You really do. You can say thank you.
I'm not hooked up.
I know. Okay. Well, thank you anyhow. And welcome, everybody, to what? Talking Business with Andy G. Andy G, because my last name is 12 letters long, and you won't remember Guterowitz. I'll tell you that right now. We're airing in Tampa, but of course I always point out that here's New York City, the Brooklyn Bridge, the business center of the world, and that's why we're called Talking Business with Andy G. Now, well, anything you want to talk about, give us a call. The number's going to be cruising along the bottom of the screen. It's 813-639-8255. It'll keep on going through there all night long, and we'd appreciate it if you would call in and let's talk about some of your concerns about your workplace, all right? Normally we talk about, the first thing about this is about stress and working 55, 60, and 65 hours a week. For what? For what? Now, this week I saw a friend of mine, actually he was a business associate. He was a roofer. As a matter of fact, he roofed my house last year. And very nice guy, fantastic guy, but man, is he all stressed out now. I mean, he runs his business by himself. He's remarkable. He's such a nice guy, and he admits it, that he's stressed out. And I feel bad for him because I know he's dying inside. I know he's dying inside because of what this chronic stress is doing to you. So let me do this. I want to remind you that when you call in, please, please, please turn down the speaker on your computer, all right? Turn it down, mute it, otherwise we're going to get some feedback coming from here back to you, okay? Our guests tonight are going to be, well, we got 4 guests tonight. One is going to be a Skype call like we normally do on the show. It's going to include my senior producer, Valerie Bass, who's also very heady and understands neurolinguistics very, very well, which is going to be one of the first topics we talk about tonight. We're going to have, of course, Dr. Howard Stoller is going to be on the show from the same location. And then we're going to have Liz is going to be on the show, too. She's a realtor. And she is sitting in the same studio along with Val. So the first thing I want to do is to talk to you a little bit about, we had Trish Dwyer on a couple of weeks ago, and she was a hypnotherapist. And one of the biggest things she talked about stress was that it was low self-esteem. A person has low self-esteem. Now, of course, I said to her, wait a minute, now you got supervisors, you got managers, you got VPs and everything else. Don't tell me they all have low self-esteem. But the answer is this, is that the workplace really promotes low self-esteem. Most people are used to getting their work done on time and have extra time to share with their family and their friends. But the work area today doesn't do that because it doesn't understand how to manage the knowledge worker. So let me give you this before we invite Val to join the conversation. Here's some basic facts, and we can take this in a logical progression. Because this is what creates this feeling of you're not good enough, all right? Which you don't want to say to yourself. Number one, the body is a machine. Understand that. The brain and the body is a machine. You've been told that before. And it's got limited capacities. So think of it that you're driving your car and the heating, your heat is going up and up and up and it's getting close to that red line over there. Or you're driving your car and the tachometer, you got a red line on that tach, right? And I guarantee you never rev the engine past that red line because you know you're going to blow the engine. Well, your body is relatively the same thing. It's got a red line too. And if you keep on pushing it, guess what? You're going to break down too. That's the next logical step. You press the body too much, get it to that RPM at the red line, and you're going to develop seal breakers, such as what? Anxieties, such as heart troubles, such as immune deficiencies, such as too much darn cortisol in your body. All that by raising that RPM level past the red line. And once you do that, once you surpass the capacities of the brain to process information, you begin to feel that you're not performing well. So, let's begin the conversation with Val. How you doing, Val? Can't hear you, my dear.
Hi, Andy.
Okay, that's much, much better.
So pleased to be with you this evening. And I'm not the jumping producer tonight. I'm trying to be more relaxed.
Well, you are more relaxed, and your hair looks very nice tonight, Val.
Thank you. I did it for you, Andy.
Don't let your husband hear you say that, Val.
So I can't let him say he's jealous. Yeah, I'm very, interested in talking about neuro-linguistic programming. And it's something that I studied way back in graduate school about 30, 40 years, quite a while ago.
You don't have to say how long ago.
It was was lucky enough, actually, to have my center in Soho, New York City, right off the campus at NYU, and the neurolinguistic programming was right down the street from my office. So I used to pop in there all the time and have some of the people come in and work with me at my clinic, at my spa in New York. Some of the basic principles of neurolinguistic programming are very advanced, actually, and it goes even beyond just your communications appeal to for whatever you require it for sales or whatever. With neurolinguistic programming, a few basic concepts that I recall are: it's not what's happening to you, it's how you perceive it. And when we can shift our perception, we can shift our perception of the world and what's happening to us. And as far as reading body language goes, it's a skill that everybody should know, just to have an exchange, whether it be in business or personal life. And as I recall, some of the concepts that I liked also was pattern interrupt. Do you remember that, Andy?
Mm-hmm.
Pattern interrupt. And that is something that all of us need to do on a regular basis. And we always used to kid over there when we did our little circles of adventure there. We always used to say, it's not the problem hypnotizing people. It's the problem is getting them unhypnotized. Most people walk around in a semi-hypnotic state and don't even know it.
You know me too well.
Yeah, that can be good, when you want to escape from reality or whatever. But basically, the way some of the key issues that I liked is when people are how do they learn? When we were doing it was, how do people learn? The way you can tell how they access information is by watching eyes, okay? Because we're either kinesthetic, we're either verbal, the senses and the accessing of the eyes. If people are looking up, they usually are more of a visualizing type of a person. If they look from left to right with their eyes to access, they're the type of people that hear and learn best through hearing. And then there are those people that when you speak with them and they look down towards their body, those are people that are kinesthetic. There are three different ways of relating to information, and people have different styles of learning. Neurolinguistics could be taken into the school system and probably applied very, very readily to students to improve learning, because everybody has their own unique ability and ways of accessing information and learning. So you can tell also by the words that people use. I hear what you're saying, I feel what you're saying, I see what you're saying. And basically, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So that when people use that as a technique, that's usually a higher way of learning from a point of view of academics. Let's just put it that way.
Well, let's stop there for a second. We do know that that what we remember, 86% is seen. We all know that. So going back to you with the visual ideas. Right. So now when a person's at work and they're being talked to a lot, the 16,000 words that people are talking about every day, every person says them, the brain cannot process all the words, and the brain therefore, limits what you remember and what you can do. And once again, my philosophy is, once that happens, and you feel bad because you don't remember it, and you start to beat yourself up, and you create your own stress.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's true, because a lot of times in our society, there's this, my research was in biofeedback and stress management, and I did a lot of research into left-right brain, how people utilize their left and right brains. Of course, the left brain is your, the right brain is really the linear, logical, and
the left side is your creative.
The right brain is your creative.
Right.
So what does with the light and sound technology that I used, meaning there are devices that people can purchase today for less than $100. You put on goggles and earphones, and the lights and sound are synchronizing in such a way as to entrain your brain waves. Okay, so that when your brain, you can adjust it where you're going to be in an alpha, beta, theta, delta state. So that you can accomplish this. It's like people go through all this effort to get into meditation. You can have instant meditation with these machines. That's what they are.
Well, Val,
yeah.
The biggest thing here, you know this, and you've known this for a long time, right?
Yes. Many couple of decades at least.
Okay. But what really gets me and turns me, it just gets me a little bit upset, is the fact that managers do not go on to develop more education to understand how intelligent people actually work and actually how the mind works. They don't go back into that. They still think throw enough stuff against the wall and it's going to get done. And if it doesn't get done by you, good, we'll get rid of you, we'll get somebody else in here, and they'll burn themselves out too. And so I am really upset with upper management not either taking courses and having their managers understand this. Workloads have got to be cut. They've got to be cut because people have to live ordinary lives. Now, because we've got a time limit here, tell me something as a senior producer. Are we on Spreaker.com?
Yes, we are. And we're getting, I'm telling you, if anybody comes on, when people come onto our show, they're going to have exposure to literally millions of listeners because of the way we're doing our marketing. And if anybody is interested in knowing more about our show, please give me a call at 561-755-7068. And we are going to have tremendous, how shall I put it, shows coming up. We have a lot of really great shows coming up. And basically, I would really like right now to introduce you to a dear friend.
Wait.
Oh, I thought you wanted me off.
No, you wait a minute. Do we have a website address yet for or a URL yet for Spreaker or not?
I'm working on that. I'll have that next week for sure. All that information next week. I'm working on that, and I have
and how people can find us on it, and stuff like that.
Try and get that before the end of the show. I have it written down, and I didn't think to.
No. You can wait till next week. Don't start getting all crazy.
How can I not get crazy? It's my genetics.
I know it is.
My parents were crazy. My brother's crazy.
Now you're going to introduce me to Liz.
I'm going to introduce you to a dear friend, Liz.
Yes.
And then after that, Dr. Howard is here. He's going to be coming on.
Cool.
And then we hope to get in touch with Victoria. She's going to either be calling in or you'll be calling her.
She'll be calling in.
All right. Now I'm going to be putting my dear friend on, Liz. And here she is, the beautiful Liz.
Yes, I got to meet Liz.
Oh, yes. another beautiful natural blonde.
Holy moly. Chris, another natural blonde. What do you know?
Hi, Andy.
Hello. Oh, now look at you. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Really, 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 really good.
Well, that's really wonderful. Now I forgot what stress is all about.
Now you know, Liz. Liz, I gotta say something to you. I mean, for the people out there, Liz is a realtor. And I think just by looking at Liz, you know she's a realtor, because the knock on realtors is, if you're a good-looking woman, you become a realtor so you can have your picture taken and put it on that business card of yours, and the people don't pay any attention to the company you work for. They just look at the picture of the lady and say, ooh, I want to do business with her. That's how she gets all her leads. Isn't that the way you get all your leads?
Of course. How else?
I take it you've been in the realtor business for how long, Liz?
Since 2002.
2002. And you are of Polish descent, I understand.
Oh, of course.
You make a lot of pierogi?
Oh, yeah, a lot. You coming over?
As soon as they're ready. Now, did you actually live in Poland itself?
Yes, I did.
Did you really?
Until age 7.
Until 1987?
No, until I was 7.
Oh, until you were 7. Okay, and then you emigrated here.
Yes.
Okay.
New York.
Do you remember anything about Poland when you were growing up and things like that?
Oh, everything.
Yeah?
My best memories are in Poland.
Why is that?
You know what? We had communism. We were not free. But one thing we had was each other. And I have vivid memories of my grandmother, who I love and I miss very much.
Your babci.
My babcia, yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'm so pleased that you have that. Are your parents and family still over there, or are they over here?
They're in New York.
They're in New York? Mm-hmm. Cool. That's good. So you get to go up to New York and the Brooklyn Bridge that you see behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Now this realty business that you're in, you know, like I said before, kiddingly, that everybody remarks about realtors and they really don't do that much work and, you know, and stuff like that. But you really do have a lot of stress going on in your life, don't you?
Definitely. Besides the clients you deal with, you take them personally. You listen to their life story, you listen to what they need, and you try to give them what they need. And it doesn't always work right. You forget yourself totally. You just take care of them. And besides that, you have your family. You have other issues that you have to take care of, and it's really tough.
How are you coping with all this stress?
You see me smiling right now.
That's a good thing, because that means you're beating the stress.
It's only because of you, okay? Everybody should have Andy in front of them in the voice.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But seriously, how do you cope with all this stress?
Well, I just have to say that I have Dr. Stoller here.
Yeah.
Who has done so much for me. And he calms me down. And one thing he says, there's only you, and you have to take care of everyone. But you have to remember that you have to take care of yourself first to help others. And I tend to forget that.
I think a lot of people tend to forget that, Liz. A lot of people do, and that's why they get caught up in the fast-paced world out there, and they don't leave enough time for themselves to get healthy. And if you don't do that, you're going to cut 6 to 10 years off your life, and you got children.
Yeah. So
you've got to do that. You've got self-time to, especially to beat this cortisol. If it's one thing very big dislike for is cortisol, because all it does is break down your cells, and the more you fight against it, the better off you're going to be.
Definitely.
Are you ever in negative situations?
You need to ask such a negative question. I can't believe this. I'm supposed to be stress-free.
You got me.
Yes, definitely negative.
Yes, I know it. I know it because you're in sales. In sales, I was in sales for a long time. And one thing about a salesperson is that you're always going to have no's. People are going to say no to you, and that you have to get used to it. But when they say yes, all that stress that you put on yourself is a rewarding stress, because once you win one, the dopamine sets in and the melatonin sets in, and it defeats the cortisol.
Yes, but you know what? When you're doing a deal, you have no guarantees it'll close. And it takes 30 days.
I know it. It's a long selling cycle.
Yes, it's a very long one. So,
Yeah. So what do you do to keep yourself upbeat?
you know what? A friend of mine suggested this, and I think it's a wonderful idea. To take, at least start with 1 weekend off a month.
At least.
Go out to a hotel. I don't care where you are. Go to a hotel, that's a spa, and relax just for the weekend. And then come back refreshed. And that's only once a month. And that's not a lot to ask.
No, and no, that's very little to ask, Liz. You know, you're going to see, if you listen to my show, the rest of my show, the other day, a person said to me, you know, you talk to me about stress and this, that, and the other thing, but you're giving it to me in pieces. Well, why don't you give me a list? So I have in my hand a list of how to reduce or eliminate stress in the work area. And I'll say this list tonight after I speak with Liz.
Great.
Okay?
Great.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us, Liz. And, you know, like every other woman that I know, you didn't tell the truth.
What do you mean I didn't tell the truth?
You told me that you had to go to the beauty parlor, you had to do this, that, and the other thing, and about 20 pounds more and all this.
Oh my goodness. I mean, do you know how skinny I was before I came to you? Are you kidding?
Well, what you told me today on the phone was not true.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, but that's the truth, Liz.
A natural beauty.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I just hope that your work is going to help everyone, because we need to de-stress. And it's hard. It's really hard out there.
Well, do us a favor. Go out there and tell all your friends, your networking friends, and everything else. They can go onto that website that Val will give you. They can see all of our episodes, but they also can watch us live and call in. I mean, we're here to help. So, and thank you so much for being on the show. And if you don't mind, pass the baton over to the good doctor.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, Liz.
Hi again, Andy. We have Dr. Howe here, and he's coming all right around.
I know. Did you get a ticket?
He sped here all the way from Miami, but here he is.
There he is. Where's my friend?
Hello there, Andy.
How you
And hello,
doing?
all of our beloved viewers. How is everyone tonight?
Look at you. Look at you sitting there with two beautiful ladies.
Oh, my goodness, I'll tell you. That'll, well, on the one hand, it might help relieve some of the stress, but on the other hand, it might actually increase the stress, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean. Doctor,
Wonderful, wonderful ladies, and it's just a delight to be around them, as it is to be here on the show again.
yeah, we appreciate you coming on. And I opened it up, and you probably didn't hear it, but I opened it up with the fact that in the work area, you know, most people communicate not to the capacities of the brain to process information, but overly so that the brain can't process all that information, and the person receiving it feels bad and gets lower self-esteem because they're not performing to the way other people think they should perform. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, my God, that's stressful.
It is stressful, isn't it?
Too much information. No, what you're saying is absolutely true. Now, let me just make sure that I'm following you.
Go ahead.
You're saying that we have a tendency, especially in the workplace, in a superior, inferior, or boss employee
Employee.
relationship, to sort of overload people and give them maybe unrealistic expectations, and then they will be extremely stressed out if they can't live up to these expectations. Am I following you?
You got it. You
Okay, well,
got
that's
it.
very, very true. And one thing I want to ask everybody to do right now, and this is something you can always do when you're getting stressed out, is take a nice, deep breath.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful way to just bring it down a notch.
Okay. Now you and I are going to have a long discussion about this one night. And I
Okay,
keep on
good.
saying that, but we are, because, you know, I want to get your feedback, probably offline, on the list that I made up that this person asked for. And I did it like on a normal day, a normal business day, and I truly believe in this stuff from the research that I've done. So, but, you know, I'm still going back to managers and supervisors. They've got to learn that you can't surpass the capacity of the brain to process information, because you're not going to get efficiencies, you're going to get inefficiencies, you're going to get mistakes, it's going to affect your bottom line, and worst of all, it's going to affect the health and the morale of your employees.
Well, you remember good old Dale Carnegie and the Carnegie course? and all
Dale
that,
Carnegie,
okay?
sure, yeah.
One of my favorite principles of his is give them a good reputation to live up to. Now, this can be a wonderful way to bring out the best in people, which is, when you're in management, one of the most important things that you want to do is to find ways to bring out the best in others. Not overwhelm them or intimidate them with unrealistic expectations, but certainly find ways to help them achieve their highest levels of performance and production.
Yeah.
So, what you're saying really has a lot of meaning, okay? It has to be done delicately. This managing and administrating has to really be done delicately. It has to be done with love. It has to be done almost in a parenting genre, okay?
Yeah.
So when we overwhelm people with too much at once, and as you know, our brains have limits on how much we can grasp, remember, and process at a time. I learned a long time ago in medical school that we can really only learn very efficiently for about 20 minutes at a shot, and then we need to
That's
take a
right.
break.
That's right. You're exactly right, doctor. You're exactly right. 20-minute attention span of controlled attention.
Okay, and we're getting there quickly, so I better get her wrapped up here.
Okay, my friends. All right, thank you so much for being on the show again.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. But I just wanted to point out really what a very important point you brought up there, because it's so very important how we handle those that we work with, whether they be coworkers, whether they be those that we manage. And in order to bring out the best in others, we need to treat them fairly. We need to treat them with love. We need to treat them as human beings with potential, which we all have plenty of potential.
One of these days, we're going to get that producer of mine to get some managers on the show so that we can start asking them some tough questions.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me, too. Okay, well, thank you so much.
It is a pleasure, as always, Andy. You have a great night. I look forward to seeing you here again next week. Same time, same station.
Cool. Thank you so much. Have a nice night, folks. And now, let's put on a little bit of an advertisement for my book, The Unfinished Work Week, Lost Personal Time. Go to the Unfinished Work Week website. You can buy the book. And then we are really cool, and we're off and running with it. So thank you very much. Listen to the commercial, please.
The beloved 55-hour work week. Who created it? Management or employees? Management claims their employees lack necessary collaborative communication and critical thinking skills, while employees feel management helped create the infamous 37% unproductive work week. Employers counter with the claim 20% of workers lack even the most rudimentary creative skills. While 71% of workers claim managers create ineffective and irrelevant meetings. Finally, executives want people who can make decisions, interact with their team in a manner that is easily understood. But if employees spend over 50% of the time managing their email, do they really have the time to learn new techniques? Well, so who is right? The answer is neither. First, both managers and employees are a management team, so stop pointing at each other. And the management teams are complaining of the lack of effective communication. How many managers or employees understand the rules of memorable interaction? And certainly there are rules. Here are a few facts you should know before communicating. First, 90% of the day's events are forgotten. So how do you get into that 10% retention pool? Second, you only have the capacity to remember 8 new things in an hour. Just 8 new things. How much new information was included in your last meeting? And finally, we speak over 16,000 words a day, but it's like talking to ourselves because 86% of what we remember is seen and only 9% heard. So reduce the 55-hour work week while creating management teams that have effective, memorable interaction with coworkers, work well together, and take action on their own. Have the management team visit theunfinishedworkweek.com to learn all the rules to effective, memorable interaction. Or just call me, Andy Gutierrez, at 609-410-9291 for an appointment.
Now, wasn't that very exciting music, folks? I bet you any money you want to go out there and dance and everything else with that boppity-bop-bop-bop music. Fantastic stuff. Wait till you hear our new music and see our new logo. I think Chris had the logo up tonight, probably next week. I mean, it's going to be really cool stuff. There it is. There's our logo. If you are on the internet and you're not just listening, but you're also seeing, that's our new logo, and that's it's really cool because that's where it all is. It's all in your brain. Your brain controls your emotions. It controls your chemicals. It controls everything that you do. So I was expecting a phone call from a very nice lady. Her name is Victoria Hagendorf, and she is the publisher of Lifestyle Magazine, which is out of the Fort Lauderdale, Broward County area. Something may have happened with her. I don't know. If she does call in, we will definitely put her on. But in the meantime, I'll just go on my merry way and talk about this list, this all-inclusive, important list that I call stress reduction and elimination. Now, I created the list. I've given it to a couple of people. They put it in their cubes, because we know about the cubie farms out there in the corporate world, pinned it up, and said, I told them, I said, you have a week. You got 1 week to do what's on this list, because there are some setup things that you have to do. You don't want to have chronic stress. You don't want to say Sunday night, oh my God, I got to go to work tomorrow. And believe me, most American workers do that. And I say American workers because over in Europe it's a lot different. And I've said that before too. Over in Europe you've got to take 2 and 4 weeks vacations. Good news for you. And it's the law. It's the law. You have to do it. My doctor's son was an intern in New York City. And New York City also has laws about people working long hours, especially in the medical field. And so, of course, he brought up this fact to his instructor, and the instructor said, if you fail to get the work done, you're going to fail. And in other words, the heck with the laws, this is what you got to do. Ridiculous, ridiculous stuff, because what you end up doing is hurting yourself. So remember what I told you before about this chronic stress stuff. Worst case scenario, it creates cortisol. Cortisol is a thing that affects your chromosomes. It stops the splitting of your cells. It attacks your immune system. It attacks your cardio system. Anybody with cortisol running their lives, you'll notice gets a little bit of a punch because they're eating incorrectly. They're not sleeping right. They get irritable. They're only good for maybe, never mind a 7 or 8 hour day, they're only good for maybe 5 hours a day. So let's take a look at the list. Stress reduction elimination. The very first thing I tell you when you wake up in the morning and on that way to work is to create a good atmosphere for yourself. Is not to worry about, oh, I got to go to this meeting right away. You're not there. Don't worry about going to that meeting right away. You want to get yourself in an upbeat mood. So I said, start your day off with an upbeat, happy song that makes you smile and move. And you have to have heard the song Happy by now. I'm happy, 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 happy. You know, it's a great song because it puts you up there. It makes you move. You're driving down the street and you're moving. You know, a person told me, normally when I drive to work, I listen to NPR. And isn't that great? You're listening to all the negative news that can be out there. And what is it doing? It's only giving you more cortisol into your system before you get to a workplace that's really waiting to give you more cortisol. The heck with that. You're not there yet. So get happy, happy, happy. Whatever song makes you great, makes you happy, download it, put it in your earphones, throw it in your car, and get happy on the way to work. Start the day off in a good mood. Get those endorphins going, you know. Get the melatonin going, you know. Get the L-Dopa going for yourself. So the first thing I tell you to do, get happy right away in the morning. And I tell you, secondly, is to replay step number 1 as often as you need to during the day. So if anybody's getting to you during the day, if stress starts to attack you during the day, hey, after that, get happy. Play that music again. Play it again. It's a controlling factor for yourself. Next, do not listen to news or other depressing negative topics. Many times it works, you know, you're going to be listening to people and they're going to be talking negatively. And, you know, that's just a waste of time. And it's not just a waste of time, it's a waste of fighting cortisol. Why don't they talk about good things, which promotes, you know, the good chemicals in your life, the dopamines in your life, the melatonins in your life. Talk about those things. Talk about the good things. Nothing is ever 100% wrong. Nothing is always 100% right. But you can make it that way. You know, when they say the glass is half full or half empty, you've got to firmly believe that the glass is half full. And you have to believe it. You have to work on it, because for so long, you've been thinking the glass is half empty. Now, the next thing I say is here, wear office noise blocking headsets. Now, most people work in a cube. They hear everything going around them. And normally in work, there are going to be lots of things that are not good things. It's like the news, you know. When you hear good things about the news. Well, maybe in the work area once in a while they ought to say, hey, we just got a good deal. We just got a good deal. Or the benefits department just saved a ton of money getting some money back from a vendor that didn't live up to their expectations. But keep a headset on. Because in this headset, you can have your happy music as you're doing your work with controlled attention, and you're not listening. Your brain is not being bombarded by all this other negative stuff that's only going to put more stress on you. Because if you're listening to something else, you don't have full control attention on what you're supposed to do. Next is a big thing. Next is the to-do list. And every single person out there working in any whether it's the corporate world, whether it's small businesses that are mostly in the United States, a to-do list. What do I have to get done? Well, there's ways to make a to-do list and there's ways not to make a to-do list. If you think leaving a to-do list in your emails is a to-do list, well, it's not. A to-do list are things that you have to get done, all right? And I want you to break it up. I want you to break this to-do list up into things I have to get done and also into things maybe I can get done. The maybe I want to get done's forget about. Forget about them. Forget about them right now. Don't even let them into your head, because if you let them into your head, you're going to say to yourself, oh, I got to get to them. I have to get to them. Just putting more stress on yourself. So, when you form a to-do list, make sure you only have the amount of activities that your brain can handle, okay? That's very, very important, that your brain can handle. And once you do that, once you make this to-do list, then you prioritize it in order of importance and dates. Beginning dates to start it, ending dates when it's got to be done. Give yourself enough time. Don't cram it in there, because as soon as you start to cram, well, you know what that does. It makes all this kind of stress start to come into you. Okay? Do things, and then I say assign begin and end dates for the have-to-dos, and then do them. Okay? Next on the list is emails. Emails take up 50% of your time. Or, in the case of a small business, maybe lead generation, maybe phone calls coming in. And what I want you to do here is, SaneBox we talked about, or you can do it manually. But some way you have got to prioritize these emails of importance that you have to answer, and those that you might not really have to answer. Now, the ones you really don't have to answer, I'm going to tell you right now, do what the guy Luis Suarez did at IBM. Do what Thierry Breton did at Atos. The things that you don't really have to read, delete them. Delete them. Take them away, so that you're not going to be able to see them anymore, and therefore you're going to stress about the fact that you have to do them. The only things that are going to be left are the emails that you have to read. And that's going to break down a lot of time on stress for you. One of the other things that we're going to talk about are meetings. 71% of meetings are considered irrelevant. So, make sure you have to attend a meeting. If you don't have to attend the meeting, don't attend the meeting. Send a subordinate to a meeting if you have to, but limit the number of meetings you have to attend. Now, finally, we have to talk about stick to time limits. If you are going to work extra hours, say, okay, I'm going to work 2 hours extra a day. But after 2 hours, the door closes and you leave. Because most people, when they start working again, they're working until they go to bed at night. Finally, never put yourself down. This is your self-esteem. Don't you dare put yourself down. You're a fantastic worker. You're a fantastic person. You are not to put yourself down. The world around you is trying to put yourself down. Don't do it. And finally, get at least 7 hours of sleep at night. Your body and your brain needs the rest to replenish itself. Remember, it's like a car. And a car cannot run all the time without breaking down. It's a machine. You got to put gasoline in it. It runs out of gasoline, well, so does your body. And that gasoline is called sleep. All right? So, as I always say at the end of the show, chronic stress is going to take 6 to 10 years off your life. That's a fact. I don't want to see that happen to you. I don't want to see it happen to your family. I don't want to see it happen to your husband. I don't want to see it happen to your wife. And certainly in a stress-filled environment like that, your children are being affected as well. So, is it worth it? Ask you that question. Is it worth it? Are my employees or my employers going to come to my funeral when I die because I overworked myself, and as the Japanese say, that's called karochi, working oneself to death. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight. Next week we're going to have another good show for you next week, another lively show for you next week. So until then, you be healthy and start beating stress and beating cortisol. Good night.
Thanks for watching. If you would like more information on what you just heard today, or you would like to obtain your own copy of The Unfinished Workweek, go to theunfinishedworkweek.com. That's www.theunfinishedworkweek.com. This program was brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization, setting the standard for new media broadcasting.